All right, so we get started. Just a reminder that our meeting is being live streamed, so we welcome those who are joining us online. As we begin, I'll ask Jennifer to do the land acknowledgement.
We'd like to acknowledge that the capital region is located on Treaty 1 territory, the ancestral lands of the Innu, Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota, and is the homeland of the Red River Métis. We also acknowledge Shoal Lake 40, Treaty 3 territory, sources water to the city of Winnipeg. We're committed to working in collaboration and partnership with the First Nations and Red River Métis in the spirit of truth and reconciliation.
Okay, before we begin, I'd like to welcome our newest board member at the table, Councillor Natasha Lapierre.
Yes.
Put you on the spot, give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Sure,
Say a
thank
few
you.
things, and we'll go around the table and have everyone introduce themselves.
Great, well, thank you for that. Yes, Natasha Lapierre from the eastern rural part of Taché. St. Genevieve Ross area is where I call home. So I'm a wife, mother of 3 teenage kids, and a business owner. And in my spare time, I like to join boards like this. So I'm looking forward to learning more, and I appreciate the crash course that Jennifer provided yesterday, and working with all of you. So thanks for having me.
Great,
Yeah.
welcome. We'll have everybody go on the screen, or no, on the screen, or no. Yeah, go on the screen first. Shane.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi, Shane.
Debbie,
Oh.
your mic's off.
You're muted. You're muted, Debbie.
Press the button.
It sounds like a great message.
She meant well.
Yeah.
That's
And
fair, people.
Brad.
Hey, Myron. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Brad Herb, Reeve of the Army McDonald.
Okay, is there anyone else on screen?
There's Carla Devlin.
Oh, Carla is? Okay, Carla, introduce yourself, say hi.
Mayor of St. Paul. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Okay.
Then we'll-
Mayor of St. Paul, nice to meet you. Welcome to the board. Sorry I couldn't be there. I've come down with the virus that's going around.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, well, keep it in East St. Paul then, please.
Ryan.
Thank you. We'll start over here, Krista.
Christopher Mitchell, Reeve of Cartier.
Patrick.
Patrick Therrien, Reeve or Mayor of the Arm of Springfield.
Sandra Smith, Mayor of Stonewall.
That's wise. I know better than that was. Yeah.
Okay. So much for the live stream.
Sorry, I'll
Yeah, Jennifer.
Okay. Mike Moore, Chair.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Satic, Vice Chair of the Board.
Jim Robson, Mayor of Headingley.
Myron, Mayor of Niverville.
Janice Lukes, City Council for the Waverly West Ward, and was on the Capital Region in 2014 and 15 as co-chair, and now come back.
Very nice meeting you all.
Thank you. Well, welcome, and we look forward to continued valuable contributions from your municipality. Before we approve the agenda, I just wanted to note that Patrick Therrien has requested an addition to the agenda. It's a discussion regarding both the opt-out date for members and plan submission date. If the board wishes to add this item, we'll include it under new business.
Yep.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Great, thank you. We need a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes from October 23rd. Jennifer, you just pick 2 and write them down. Oh, yeah. And then, well, I'll approve that one first. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Opposed, if any? Carried, thank you. I've already missed one. Now that we have that addition, approve the adoption of the agenda. Mover, seconder. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried, thank you. Now we have the approval of the consent agenda. Within the consent agenda is the Braid Solution Report. That's the Braid Solution Report was in response to Bill 37. It's 401 pages long with 19 recommendations. I asked the team to create a summary document of the points that pertain to the capital planning region, because out of the 401 pages, a lot of it's on municipal board, other areas, and they knocked it down to 2 or 3 pages of nice, concise information. The summary is intended to give you kind of a clearer picture of how the recommendations connect to the action plan that the province of Manitoba has released. That's under item 7.1. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. There's a couple on the screen here. Debbie and Shane. We got to get into the minutes somehow. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you, carried. Now we're going to move to the approval of the budget. Because, four municipalities have left, you'll see that we have a shortfall in revenue. I'm not expecting the remaining municipalities to cover it, so get that one out of the way right away. So we'll be requesting that the province cover the shortfall. It's their legislation. I'll now pass it over to Jennifer to speak to the budget.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So yes, as you know, we are required to provide the Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations with an approved budget at the end of the year. As Mike mentioned, we have a shortfall this year due to 4 municipalities leaving. And the important thing to understand as well is the city of Winnipeg pays the total of all the municipalities. So when 3 leave or 4 leave and we have 30,000 on one side, that means the city of Winnipeg pays 30,000 less, so that totals 60,000. So our operating expenses are largely fixed, and we still need to cover those core costs. Under professional services, it may look like there's a lot of available funding, but most of that is already allocated to the FCM project. Those funds are restricted and cannot be used for the work on the regional plan. But just as a reminder, I just want to go over the FCM funding. It's a project that's a capacity building initiative funded by FCM's Green Municipal Fund to strengthen local planning for housing affordability and natural infrastructure in the region. That project will develop educational resources. We're going to host workshops and help municipalities implement strategies for sustainable, affordable, and climate resilient communities. But back to the budget. So we still need resources for consultants and professional services to carry out the work ahead of us for the regional plan, because we do have a regional plan that's due to be on the minister's desk by January 1st, 2027. So as well, when we look at this year and some of the unexpected expenses, including, say, legal fees for a domain dispute. So we had 2050.ca that somebody else took over and was acting like it was us, so we had to file a cease and desist. So not expecting that $7,000. As well as IT security upgrades like a new firewall, so there's another $5,000. The incident with the water heater that needs to be replaced, $5,000. So all these are one-offs. They also highlight the importance of having sufficient budget flexibility as well to respond to some of these unforeseen issues. There's also just the fact that, say, we have 3 planners, but when I came on, my position was not we didn't have somebody cover that position, so I'm also doing a lot of the admin work. We no longer in to do a lot of that work, so that's fallen on me while we do have a bookkeeper, but the bookkeeper is virtual, so I've taken on those duties, but we don't have room in the budget to bring on an admin person. Okay, so given this shortfall and our obligation to deliver a regional plan, as Mike said, we recommend requesting that the province cover the gap. This ensures that the capital planning region can continue its work without passing the burden onto the remaining municipalities. It's fair. So we have a motion.
You mentioned the City of Winnipeg matching. Did you ask the City of Winnipeg whether they just keep the same amount of money anyway?
Yeah, I could.
Well, I'm just thinking what we're gonna do with that other money now, so. No one else knows about it but me right now.
Transit.
You can buy us all Christmas
That's
gifts.
going to transit. Blue bus fares for everyone.
How much is a new
Sorry.
bus?
Now, are we getting 2 motions there, or are we just doing a motion to approve?
Approve the budget, that
And
be
then-
resolved, and then this one is to approve the budget, this one is to
Oh, okay.
request that.
All right.
Okay.
So,
No, it's
we-
the same. And further.
the motion is that the board approves the draft budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Can I have a mover?
Oh, and then you just read the.
Oh,
so
you
it
want-
goes together, sorry.
Okay.
The entire thing.
And then also that the board direct the executive director to submit the approved budget to the Minister of Municipal Relations and formally request that the province cover the projected shortfall created by the recent municipal withdrawals in order to ensure the capital planning region can continue standard operations as required under provincial legislation. Mover, seconder, all those in favor, opposed if any, carried. And I believe the province has already had a heads up that it's coming.
Was gonna be a question. You ever ask for questions before you approve?
Oh, I just look for someone to jump in and say, oh,
There's questions, Colin, just jump in? Is that how you like to do it? Okay.
I'm sorry, I just.
No, I'm just learning.
No,
learning
go
the
ahead.
system.
No, I'm learning too.
Okay,
Even 3 years later, still learning.
all good.
No, fire away with it.
No, it's been addressed. My question was gonna be if the province had been given heads up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they have.
Thank you.
They've received an unofficial heads up.
Good.
And then a letter will go forward immediately after this meeting because our budget has to be approved by the board before it's then, and it has to go to the minister before the calendar year end. And then this time there will be a budget and a more thorough letter of explanation.
Okay,
regarding
understood.
that.
Thank you, Chair.
Well, good question, but sorry, I tend to race at times.
No, I can jump. I just need to know the rules.
There's no rules. Okay. Governance and policy update. First one is the executive committee terms of reference.
Okay, so at the last board meeting, the board accepted the amended executive committee terms of reference, and that updated terms of reference is now in. So now.
Okay. So the first item on that, obviously the terms of reference, now we have new terms of reference for executive committee. We need to approve the executive committee member. There was 2 new vacant positions, and the reason I say new is the terms of reference that we approved at the last meeting include the chair, the vice chair, and the city of Winnipeg. And then there's 3 other at-large positions. And of course, the city of Winnipeg is a new position a new person, because Janice, of course, is replacing Scott on the executive committee. And so we called for nominations from all the members, and we were fortunate enough to get 3 people come forward and volunteer. Debbie again offering to stay on the executive committee, but we also have both Reeve Mulligan and Reeve Van Mitchell indicated interest on coming on. So we need to formally establish the committee, proceed with the resolution to appoint them. So the resolution would be it resolved that with 2 new vacancies on the board and 2 eligible candidates coming forward, Ken Mulligan and Krista Van Mitchell, be appointed by acclamation to fill these vacancies. So be it further resolved until the next annual general meeting. These are reviewed at every AGM. So can I have a mover and a seconder for that? Okay, Myron and Jim. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you, and thank you to our new volunteers.
You should have.
And no takebacks. Now the working group terms of reference document, again, turn that over to Jennifer.
Okay, so with respect to the terms of reference document for the technical planning group, I want to speak to this because Reeve Knott had sent out an email to everybody expressing his concerns around the confidentiality section. So these are technical meetings where planners and other professionals exchange ideas, they explore options, they also, discuss they flag issues before anything is developed for the board to consider. So these discussions are part of technical development process. So they're not decisions, they're not directions, they're not positions of the board. So keeping these conversations under confidentiality protects the board from having early or unvetted vetted information interpreted as board instruction. It also allows the professionals that are in the room to speak openly without concern that preliminary ideas will be taken as commitments. We were also advised by legal that this approach is an appropriate way to protect both board members and planners while work is still evolving. Having said that, we do have a solution that ensures that everybody stays informed. We will provide a briefing note after each working group meeting so that the board and councils have a clear sense of what is being discussed at these meetings. This will ensure appropriate transparency without compromising the integrity of the technical work. So we'll share this information with the working group as well at the next meeting, and the next meeting is tomorrow. They have a meeting here. The summary of the first two meetings is attached at the last tab of your package, I believe, or the pink tab, maybe before 9.1. But as well, one of the things that we had committed to earlier this year is ensuring that not all of this information stays with the board members to disseminate to councils. We will take that report and we will send it to your CAO so that the CAO can share this with council, and so that everybody is informed and everything is transparent.
I like that.
And to be clear, so this can be shared publicly in our council meeting?
Yes.
Not a locked document. Okay, perfect. That's great.
All right.
Anything else on that one?
That's everything.
Okay. I'll ask, can I ask you, just because it was raised by Delmer, but he's not with us today, could you send a specific note to Delmer with that?
Saying that's addressed.
Because he sent an email this morning saying, oh, I couldn't open my package or whatever.
Yes.
So just send him a note saying, it's raised, this is what we said, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Operations update, again, turn it over to Jennifer and Natalie.
Okay, so I have my update here, but you know what? My drive into work today, I'm going off script here. My drive into work today, I was almost emotional because I think, last time this year when the board decided that that Plan 2050 was not going to move forward, I think we all understood, like, we definitely need a new approach to this. But I never would have imagined we would have gotten as far as we have gotten this year. There's been a lot of hard work that's going on in the background. We're listening to the board. We went out, we talked to councils, we did a public survey. So I'm going to go over this, but our public survey has 1,100 responses.
Wow.
So, so we are definitely, as Mike would say, working to get it right? Because I will absolutely say, with all of the stakeholders we're going out to meet with, the councils, there's still overwhelming response that a coordinated approach and a regional plan is required. It's just understanding how do we go about getting there. I understand the pressures that all of you are going through, so I don't know what next year is going to look like. I look at even the poster on the board that I got Jonas to make, our poster on the wall there, and at the end of the year he said we made it, right? I strongly believe that the work that we're doing here is good work. It's now just about giving people the educational resources that they need to understand that this is a good thing for our communities. This will unlock those federal funding dollars. We will be part of the conversation when it comes to economic development for the province of Manitoba. So I thank you for continuing to come to the board table to have these difficult discussions. And, I thank my staff, because what's going on in the background to ensure that we meet these timelines, it's a lot of work. And they're coming to work with positive attitudes. and still enthusiasm for what we're doing. So, yeah, just thank you, everybody. I believe we did have, in light of some of the challenges, I think we had a very successful 2025. So, not 2024, but 2025.
We're still in 25.
Yeah, 2025. Right, so I look forward to seeing what 2026 will look like. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with engagement and working group. So we continue. What I'm going to update you on is the engagement that we've had and our next steps. So we continue our consultation sessions. So as I said, the Regional Plan Technical Planning Working Group met on October 29th. And our next meeting is tomorrow. As I said, the summary of those meetings is in your package. The Province of Manitoba's Technical Advisory Council has also been initiated, and staff are working closely with the provincial teams. So this committee includes representatives from across government to support an all-of-government approach to develop a regional plan. We've met with several provincial departments, including Environment and Climate, and Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure. We have upcoming meetings with MTI, Environment and Climate, Sports, Climate, and Heritage, and as well we have a meeting with Minister Naylor as well to provide her with an update, and I'm connected with Minister Naylor as I sit on the Blue Ribbon Infrastructure panel. So we want to bring her up to speed. Next, staff have been holding roundtable sessions, and so this is also, as I said, we're moving so quickly, we're doing so much when it comes to engagement that this is a step that I wanted to ensure that you understand, that we are going to be holding roundtable sessions as part of the engagement process to gather feedback from stakeholders with a specific expertise. So we're planning to hold a roundtable session in the new year with municipal public works staff to discuss water, wastewater, drainage, and transportation. So invitation emails are going to be sent out to the CAOs to schedule the sessions with the appropriate staff. So I want you to have a heads up that that email will go out. So with stakeholders, we've engaged this month with key leaders, including Lloyd Axworthy, leading the project rail relocation feasibility study team, Keystone Ag Producers, Winnipeg Airport Authority. We held 2 roundtable sessions to discuss regional housing needs and climate resilience, water, and environmental stewardship. I think some exciting news that comes from this is that Lloyd Axworthy has asked us to sit on the working group for the feasibility rail relocation feasibility study. Public engagement. So our public survey will close tomorrow. It has been up for over 3 weeks. We've received over 1,000 responses, and I think that demonstrates a strong public interest and engagement. We were expecting maybe 50. We sent it out to the board. We did send it out to the CAOs. We posted a link at all of the libraries in Winnipeg to ensure that everybody has access to this study, and so that we could collect feedback from that study. Work on the regional plan. So staff continue to refine the strategic themes identified in June of this year into goal statements and associate actions and policy. So this work is ongoing. Communication. So updates to the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region website are now live, including a dedicated regional plan page, and it's under the projects tab. So it has an overview. It has Jonas's new video that he created about regional planning, the survey details, as well as educational resources. So it's all in one spot. For timeline, as you know, we're obligated to submit a regional plan to the Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations by January 1st, 2027. To meet this legislative deadline, a draft timeline has been prepared. It's in your package, and I'm going to have Natalie speak to the timeline.
All right. Okay, so the timeline is this one. I think you all have that open.
So the Planning Act through Bill 4, adopted earlier this year, extended the deadline for the capital planning region to submit a regional plan to the Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations to January 1st, 2027. To meet this date, we set our timeline for next year, and that's what we have in front of you. The legislation requires that we give second reading to the regional plan before we provide it to the minister. And our goal is to give the regional plan second reading before the October 2026 election. So to make this date requires a few key steps. We anticipate releasing a draft plan to the board in March of next year. And this will allow for additional consultation with you, council, the province, Indigenous nations, stakeholders, and the public to occur. And this will further allow us to make refinements to the plan in preparation for first reading. We then are anticipating giving first reading to the plan in May of 2026, and then this will trigger the formal adoption process. So that requires public hearings, which we anticipate to hold in the summer of 2026, and then that will be followed by second reading in the fall. Following second reading, the regional plan can be submitted to the minister for review and then approval. And then the board may give third reading to the plan after the approval has been received by the province. There's no set timeline for how long the province may take to approve a regional plan. So it should be noted, though, that while all of this is occurring, we anticipate the province releasing legislative updates to both the Planning Act and the Capital Planning Region Regulation. So regulatory changes can happen early in the new year, they can happen a little easier, but the Planning Act changes will require the introduction of a spring bill that will be introduced in the spring session, which opens on March 4th and then ends on June 1st. Okay, thank you. Okay, so on legislation is the next update I have. So on October 29th, 2025, the government of Manitoba government accepted all recommended solutions independent review of the Planning Amendment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter Amendment Act. Okay, so that's the one that we call the Braid Report, the Braid Solution Report. Okay, so they accepted all recommendations. On November 26th of 2025, the province released an action plan in response to these recommendations. The action plan included 5 recommendations directly related to the framework of the regional plan for regional planning in Manitoba and will guide the Department of Municipal and Northern Relations over the next 5 years. So we have at, which tab is it now? So the action plan is at the pink one?
The pink one.
Okay. So I do want to read from that plan, or I want to read from that report, just a few excerpts. So on page 9, when it talks about structure and performance of legislation, the province of Manitoba is committed to structure and performance. They say we will strengthen Manitoba's planning systems by acting on stakeholder feedback and modernizing legislation. So that signals that there's going to be change. When you look at framework for regional planning, we are resetting the vision for the capital planning region by re-engaging member municipalities and aligning regional planning efforts with provincial priorities. When you go to page 7, this specifically pertains to us. So reframing regional planning. So reframe regional planning expectations based on current provincial priorities, engage municipalities in dialogue, and consider policy options and incentive structures. Also 13, regional planning board model. Address priority areas of concern, reconsider board composition, clarify roles and responsibilities, and provide guidance on the implementation period, as well as public communication, develop communication and educational materials for the public to focus on regional planning, which also signals that there's going to be an alignment in communication, which also benefits us. So we have support from the province, and then provincial land use policies. So I think that's very promising. So you can read that, and I will send the links to you online. I believe for anyone who's at the AMM conference, this is nothing new. I don't know if you've already reviewed it, but I'll still send you the link so that you can access it, your council can access it, and CAOs.
Jennifer, I just have a question.
Yes.
When it comes on page 7 and it's the regional planning, the reframe, when the government's talking incentive structures to be in our plan, do they have some ideas that they would like, I mean, just a little bit more clarification on the incentive? 'Cause-
I think these are their big, their goals. I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure what that.
Well, no,
would
but
be yet.
again, we want to be transparent, so if they could just give us a couple of what they want to see, then at least we have something to go on, because what they think and what we think may be two different vehicles. Yeah, that's my only concern.
Okay, so it's likely now that this will lead to changes in the Planning Act and associated regulations. Since these changes will affect the capital planning region, it may be beneficial to request that the minister provide us with early access to review any changes in the legislation.
Before, yeah. Yep.
Okay, another thing that I want to
Would
bring
we
to,
do that by formal request or just yourself talking to the
think we
deputy
should-
minister on normal?
I would prefer resolution, then it's noted that the board is in consensus and then there's no division and it's our ask.
It's clear.
Yeah, or we can just as a board direct the executive director to make that request that we, I mean, because we don't have authority to order it, but
No.
what we, I think we have consensus around the table that we'll ask our executive director to approach the government for early,
Maybe ask them if they're okay.
early access to that document. Everybody good with that? That we ask Jennifer to do that? Thank you.
okay, so is that,
Oh, sorry,
is that a
Jen?
resolution?
Question, or sort of a question, comment, I guess. I'm a little concerned. I mean, I look back at our draft timelines. I mean, I'm not being, I mean, I realize the draft timelines are trying to squeeze everything in the time frame, but I mean, between what this board's trying to do and what the government's supposed to do, I mean, is it realistic to actually expect, I mean, more of the timelines, in my opinion, are event-driven, not date-driven. Like, I mean, if the government doesn't come up with things like what their draft legislation look like or what their incentives look like or whatever, how are we supposed to actually put a plan around how we would actually and I think we ran into this issue in the past where we tried to, and I'm not criticizing, the staff and whatnot, because I mean, they're given direction to do this from the government, but the reality is that it's more event-driven than it is, in my mind, calendar-driven. Like if we don't get the government's draft, then I don't think that, like, there's got to be some milestones driven along there that have to be considered, I'll say, because in the past, I mean, I'm not being critical of the government either. I mean, they talked about getting things done and they've gone on for like a year. And I mean, I know that these things take a while, but maybe, I know Patrick has some issues too, I think. I mean, the concern I have is that, without putting too fine a point on it, the date to leave WMR is October 28th or something. 6 or whatever, 26, whatever. And some of this stuff could drag on past. So I mean, I'd hate to see municipalities in the city or whatever have their hand forced because the information available to decide to stay or go hasn't arrived yet. And the October 26th date hits. And now, I mean, some municipalities might decide, well, if that's the way it is, I don't know, so I'll just leave. I mean, like that's
Sure.
So I guess I'm concerned that, and I think I'm trying to get back to you, to your point. I mean, so what we should ask, what direction we should give as a board, and I would or request from the government, and
put it back on their plate, Jim.
that's what I'm trying. Yeah, Wes. I
Because
mean,
we ran into that problem that we were rushed
exactly.
when we had timelines and deadlines given to us and it didn't work and everybody felt pressure. If we're relying on the province to have something to a certain point, we'll react after that. We can't react before it.
Exactly. That's
So
what right,
I agree with, when you give us the information, we will go ahead. Then hit our milestones.
Yeah.
But having a finite timeline or somewhat of a schedule like that doesn't fend well. It puts a lot of pressure on everybody.
Well, I would think, this is just top of my head, I can jump in, this is a draft timeline of what the staff considers feasible from a working standpoint. You're right, when things come that change from, say, the province or municipalities, whatever it may be, then those timelines will change accordingly, because we can only work with what we have at the time. And if the rules get changed, this is a draft of what the staff feels they are capable of producing today. Tomorrow could change.
Well, kind of, but I mean, the reality is, Mike, they can't produce legislation. Like,
No.
they can't, I mean, like, a lot of these
Yeah.
are subject to, if you want to phrase it that way.
Absolutely.
because If that legislation doesn't come.
If it doesn't come
In
through
an
June,
ideal world,
Then this changes
Yeah.
again, yes.
in an ideal world,
I'm a
that
little
would work.
Yeah, this is not cast in stone it's just for you to know the staff is working very hard, and they're producing at this rate. However, if the partners do not hold up their end, this draft goes.
So that's
and there's a
tentative.
new draft, absolutely,
That's tentative,
very,
yeah.
very tentative, absolutely. Patrick?
Basically, that's my discussion that I'd like to bring up there. I don't know if you want to go straight to that now, if it's kind of open up.
Mr.
there.
Chair, if I can.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Patrick. We do have this on the agenda for discussion later. Right now, we are, as the chair said, we are just going through the report from our admin. So if we can save that conversation for later, and I'm not saying that because I'm going to be leaving at 10:30. I want to be part of the conversation, and I hope we get there. If we could let Jennifer finish, and then I've got a couple of things I want to bring up that's come up so far. I just didn't want to interrupt her report.
No, and that was going to be my next, and when we finish the report, I'm sure we have a number of questions been presented.
So
knowing that
I'm almost done.
Knowing that timelines and opt-out and timelines for the report is on the agenda and will be addressed. So what I'll then say is we'll discuss what's being presented, questions for that, and then this will come up in a couple of agenda items as has been requested from the board and approved earlier today.
And so to continue on the report, with respect to the timeline, this is what we have this is our draft timeline to meet the deadlines. Having said that, we are going to have to be flexible when it comes even to Indigenous engagement. If we don't have meaningful Indigenous engagement by March, we will not be releasing a plan until we meet that requirement that we put on ourselves. While we all understand the duty to consult is not our obligation, meaningful engagement absolutely is still a part of that. I also included this timeline to set us up for this discussion later on so that you understand where we're headed, because I don't know if you've actually seen the full picture. Now that you have, now it's about understanding then what your options are and where you go next. The last thing that I just want to share with everybody is also very exciting news. So I think because you have your lives and then we're busy here at the office, and so if you're wondering, what do they do all day? This is also another one of the something that we did that was very, very exciting. So we worked with AMM, and I think that's something that we've been working towards, is really strengthening that relationship with AMM. And so they developed with Stronger Cities a toolkit for Manitoba municipalities addressing anti-government and hate harassment. I'm also going to be sending this to you. This is an excellent resource, and we contributed to it. Mind you, I think we were maybe their case study.
We were their case study, absolutely.
Good contribution.
Always glad to help.
Yeah. So when Dennis asked, would you like to be part of this? I'm like, we are this.
Do we get
So
credits?
It's funny now, it wasn't funny then.
It wasn't. But anyway, so you'll see on page 3, you see there Winnipeg Metropolitan
Good
Region.
work,
So,
team.
yeah, so this is something that we are also very, very excited to be a part of. This is a good news story. This is us showing you our commitment to also understanding some of the challenges that you guys face. And we want to be part of making that better for you and helping you navigate it. Because I think one thing that I saw, especially at FCM, when they had a disinformation session, it wasn't arming anybody with information. It was just talking about, is this a problem? And then everybody had a, it was just sharing of all of these crises that everybody was going through. And I left the session feeling like nobody's giving me any direction as to how to navigate this. And so I think this is an excellent resource. One thing that I will also say, though, is one of the things that it talks about in addressing this is the importance of transparency, is the importance of education, is the importance of bringing everybody along as you're working towards whatever project it is that you do.
That was on the news at 6 o'clock.
It was on the news. It was on the news.
That's great.
Yeah.
6 a.m. Okay, just had to put that out there.
I've been up pushing snow prior to that, Myron. They're playing, having fun.
He does a full day at already 6 a.m.
I will open it up to questions and comments. Shane, your hand's still up.
No, I went back up, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was wondering.
Jennifer, one of the groups that you hadn't mentioned was MTA. When you were having discussions with them,
Yes.
did they get talked to?
Manitoba Trucking Association?
Yeah.
Yes, that was last month.
Okay, I didn't hear that. And then
That was in the
just looking.
report from, that was in the report from last month.
Okay, thank you. On our site for what is a regional plan, we've got a nice little triangle that shows province of Manitoba legislation and regulation, and then regional plan. The optics are the same spot we were at last year. The regional plan needs to fall into, I would say, a category with provincial departments, because that's where we're going to be in the planning hierarchy. Having us showing as being above the municipalities, just the optics is, for lack of a better term, kind of garbage. And it's going to get us into trouble again.
Good
So if
point,
we can
Chief.
revisit that graph, that'd be awesome.
And that's something that the province of Manitoba as well uses, so we can have that discussion with them, so that
Yeah.
it makes it click, because it's not just about optics, right? Like it's just so that people understand what that looks like.
Yeah. But when somebody comes to us for a development plan amendment, it's not just coming to WMR, it'll be coming to the or whichever planning region it is. It goes to the province as well. And I think that'd be better reflected in a graph.
Okay, thank you, Shane.
Good point. Thanks for catching that. Myron.
I would like to ask the board if we could direct staff, when it says upcoming scheduled meetings include, that we would include the Minister of Energy, Minister Sala. I believe that if our metro region is to grow, that access to energy is key. And I have some concerns that the energy that we have in the metro region is insufficient for us to go to where we need to be. And City of Winnipeg has 25% of its substations that are over capacity. I almost resigned 6 months ago when I had developers call me, tell me we were out of grid. Thankfully, Manitoba Hydro came and saved our bacon. And we ran out in January of 2020 during a winter day. So we are at max capacity and probably over max capacity. And if they're going to have a plan, they will need land. And if they need land in the WMR, what is the plan? Maybe they don't need land inside the WMR, but if they do, it'd be something I'm sure our board would want to discuss. So I'm asking for board permission, if you will, that we would be able to add under upcoming scheduled meetings with the Minister of Energy, Minister Sala, please.
Yeah,
Good
no,
one.
that's
Excellent
excellent.
point.
You had something to add to that?
That's why we
I
sent it
did.
to you.
I think that the team has met with Manitoba Hydro, so
Yes.
perhaps Jennifer could provide some
Okay.
comments about that. I think meeting with the finance minister, also minister responsible for hydro, would absolutely be prudent to substantiate those discussions. Your piece about energy is very well received. We have a problem in this province. We have been hearing the narrative that we have abundant hydroelectricity. It's absolutely not the case. At the Manitoba Chambers, we have our Manitoba Green Advantage Project, which is an initiative of our chamber. But through their research work, we've been able, well, there was IRP work done through hydro, but essentially we need 10,000 megawatts of new power just to remain status quo by 2040.
And that is 8 hydro dams.
So that's
8?
15 years
8.
away. Yeah. And so we need a long-term clean green energy strategy. The IRP process looks at the next 10 years. We need something that's long-term. Wind, solar, nuclear, to start having these conversations. So in order to grow, we need to have the power to grow. In order to achieve our economic development goals in the province, we need to find the energy. In order to build the Port of Churchill, we need to have the power for that. So a very well-received conversation. And just for the board's knowledge, at the Manitoba Chambers this upcoming year, energy policy is one of our 3 big policy areas that we will be focusing on. Anything that we learn, absolutely we'll share with Jennifer if it's at all helpful for the discussions around this table.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. We're in need of considerable additional energy.
I believe it gets us from a have-not to a have province. We just need to have our provincial counterparts to have the courage, for instance, with nuclear, the big fear around what could happen if it goes wrong. We need to encourage our provincial representatives to be courageous.
No, excellent point.
Patrick?
I just wanted, it's more of a comment. There's really probably no question in this unless I keep on talking here, but the hydro that Myron had brought up there, I just had a meeting yesterday. We had I know I'm going to get slammed for saying old folk the way I look at it.
Personal care home.
Personal care home. It's we're well underway there, but there was a little bit of a hiccup with the hydro, and it was the engineers that were talking about it there, and they were telling us to hook up with the grid. This was all surprising to me. It'd be 1 to 12 months, they said. So they feel that it's not going to be an issue there, but that seems very long for something as vital to our community as that. We've done all our due diligence, of course. We didn't put it there, and then all of a sudden, we haven't got hydro and all that. But getting things together seems to be a bit of a hiccup. We're not there yet, but Myron had mentioned that, so I figured I'd talk to that as well. And the infrastructure there, like, it's always going to be the arm Springfield with me. It's and this board, of course, but the infrastructure, we're waiting like 18 months for our environmental license for our water treatment plant, and we're ready to dig tomorrow. We got all the money in place, but taking such a long time to get all this together, and why it's taking so long, we're still in the process there. We're working very well with the province on that, so it's all in discussions with this in kind of a roundabout way, almost like Venn circles, where everything kind of overlaps, and the regional plan is going to help us with that.
Right. Oh, sorry. All right, you're responding to that. Carla, you had your hand up.
Thank you. I just want to go back to Elizabeth's comment in regards to nuclear. So we're not entertaining nuclear in the province. However, we have the infrastructure for it. We're also buying nuclear out of the US for power. So we're provincially, we're contradicting ourselves by saying we're not going to entertain nuclear, but we're going to buy it. So I do think that municipalities and leaders in the province need to start pressuring the province to make decisions to move the province forward. And if that is nuclear, then that is nuclear. But I mean, buying it and then criticizing it, it doesn't look good.
Thank you. Myron?
Well, and to the comment here as well about Manitoba Hydro, I didn't, obviously I had developers screaming at me for, I was costing them millions of dollars because we didn't have power. And so I started with Minister of Municipal Relations, no answer. I went up the chain of command, I called Minister Sala, no answer. I called the Premier's office, finally got an answer. And within 5 days, I had 5 reps from Manitoba Hydro in town with a plan. They had their policy person there, and to read between the lines, their hands are tied, they're waiting for provincial direction, which is why we need to lobby our provincial minister to be courageous, to provide us with that, because Hydro is like, we would like to do certain things, but we're not being directed to do them.
Okay. Thank you. I think Krista
I
had
just
a hand
have
up
a
first, and then Patrick.
quick question. So if hydroelectricity is one issue, is water capacity not another issue?
I think I saw, did I see water? You're
Yeah.
right, because
No,
I saw Office of Drinking
if we're
Water
going
here.
to, if we're going to lobby for hydroelectricity, like Cartier Regional Water Co-op, for example, we've had to turn away business because of water capacity. So maybe that's another lobbying effort as well, because without the both, there's no
Go
business.
hand in hand.
So
And Patrick, and then Carla, did you have something new, or is Ann still up from before?
No, I'd like to add, but I can wait.
Okay, Patrick, Carla, Jim.
I just want to put a plug in for our Eastman Regional Committee there. We've had lots of discussions with Pinawa there for small modular reactors there. So that's on our discussions there, and we've taken it to the province as a, I
They
think it's a
don't need
viable
money, they just need a license.
Yeah, it's a viable option. I'm not a tree hugger by any means there, but I think small modular reactors are the future. And
The US is turning all their things back on. 3 Mile Island, Diablo, they're all being turned back on.
Yeah.
Carla?
Thank you. In regards to water, we all know that East St. Paul has been struggling to get infrastructure dollars, and we've been waiting 6 years to develop. However, we could supply to the south if we could get up and running. I'm sure we can add more wells. We're looking at adding a well right now, but we can add more wells, and then we can help supply Paul, I believe, that takes from Cartier. I think that if we are having better roundtable conversations with the province and showing our capabilities and working together and pushing together, we might see results. That's one comment. I will say that there's an organization in our province, Manitoba Environmental Industry Association, MEA, and they represent tech and energy companies, and they've been trying to push for power and nuclear power. So if you have any representatives in your community that are members of MEA, these are great organizations that can help us lobby the province to move forward to achieving more power and more water capabilities.
Jim?
I guess one of my general comments would be, whenever we do any development, all the services have to be there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if anything's missing, whether it's power or water or roads or, we've got a problem. And I mean, the problem is that I see quite often is it's quite regional, quite local. It's not like, it might not be the whole capital region. I mean, I've mentioned this before, but I mean, the Cartier Regional Water Co-op, which I chair, and is, it looks after 7 municipalities, but we have a raw water source of the Assiniboine River. We're also looking at wells in Rosser, ultimately to be just to the north boundary of Headingley, to be drilled, but it's in the process of being evaluated. Now, you can't just drill a well because there's water there. You have to, it's a very elaborate process, which I support. I mean, because you don't want to ruin the well water by over demand. We also, but the other, so I mean, I think if, the point I'm trying to make is every one of these things has to be in balance. One that is, I don't see on the list yet here that should be, is emergency services, for example. I mean, like fire, first responders, police, RCMP in our case. There's a capacity issue there too. I mean, like, you can't build arbitrarily, and the land use planning has to incorporate all these things, that those are all listed as things that have to be evaluated. I mean, I know in our community, that's one thing. The road supported, can the hydro, like we've actually got just a little sideline here. I mean, I'm never sure whether hydro doesn't have the capacity or the capability. Almost a year ago, and we're still waiting for the hydro to be connected. Like, I don't know whether there's a power supply issue or they just, I don't know, they must have a long list that they finally get to us eventually, but we've been waiting months and months to get this lift station connected, and it's also a problem for developers. Like they, you sometimes I think, and I don't think it's willingness on the part of developers to develop. I think it's getting all of the ancillary services that have to be in place together, so that you can actually empower development. And I would just say that would be more important to me than anything, is getting that ability to systematically develop our land, whatever city, RMs, wherever, in a way that it's sustainable and doable. Like, because raw land is not our big problem. We got acres and acres of raw land. I mean,
well, you say that, but the city of Minneapolis just used 1,000 acres for a solar farm to power their city. Where do we find 1,000 acres in WMR? That'd be a touch.
Oh my God, have I got land for you?
Yeah. You're not serious.
Well, I mean, it's got a high value. I mean, we all have development plans. Like, it'd be worth a discussion, is all I'm saying.
Well, a big wind farm, for example, you can put a big wind farm on and it could cover 1,000 acres, but it doesn't take that much farmland out of production because it's only the footprint of the. Anyways, long discussion, but I guess my only point is, when you guys are doing your study, could you just make sure that
all the ancillary services that are attached to that.
And the one I don't really see, I mean, I agree with the hydro one, but I also haven't seen the emergency services.
Yeah, emergency services, okay.
Including policing.
Janice?
My point was, I had a developer across from Walmart on Kenniston who said they're from Alberta, or from Saskatchewan, would never develop here again because of hydro. Would never come here again because of hydro. He had to bring in generators and it was big drama. So, just to your point.
Any other on Jennifer's presentation, Natalie's presentation? Yes.
I had a quick point of clarification around the communication. So when the survey was sent out, how are those questions determined of the survey?
You know what? I'll let the staff speak to that because that's their expertise, like us planners.
Yeah, so we were just taking it as a approach of.
Can you get a little closer so the people online can hear you, please?
Our approach is to look at, for the space of engagement, is to really identify priorities, whether that be your priority, councils, stakeholders, the public's. So it's just looking at what the challenges and opportunities are. So that's how they were framed. They were framed also along all the themes that we discussed at board table over the first half of the year, and then that was developed that way.
Okay, I know I got a lot of feedback from some of my residents. Again, being a more rural part of Taché where I live, I heard a lot of that. Some of it was that they seem very vague. And, do you want better infrastructure? Well, yes, we all want better infrastructure. Do you want? So that was one of the questions. I was just wondering why it wasn't a little bit more pinpointed and maybe a fresh set of eyes from my perspective. I think the communication aspect is a really big opportunity for how what happens here goes out to the public. And I think I had some residents who couldn't even access the survey. They don't have internet services. So I was helping them do it. So things like that. There's seniors who felt that they couldn't participate. So that was one of the questions I had. And I did speak to Jennifer on the second point was with our website. Plan 2050 is dead, but our website still actively draws you there when you Google the Plan 2050 plan. Latest update is from August of 2024. Again, misinformation happens. People are still talking about Plan 2050. I'm getting it regularly in my end of the world. And although I'm sharing that message that it's no longer, our own message is not clear on our own website. So I just feel that that's something important as we talk about communication and transparency, which I think is really important. So I just wanted to bring that up to the board.
Great, good point, thank you. Anything else before we move on to the next agenda topic? This has been very good and helpful discussion.
Mark, don't leave it on.
Because there's lots going on, and I certainly, on behalf of everyone, want to applaud the staff for, that's a lot of stuff going on in that progress report. Meeting with a lot of people and the amount of work to involve everybody we possibly can. And I know we will have missed somebody. It has to happen. But it's certainly not looking at this from lack of effort to include as many groups and people and interest groups as possible. So thank you. I don't have anything. Is there any reason staffing to go in camera? I don't have anything.
Oh, you gotta talk about mine?
Yeah, but
You're under new
not in
business.
camera. That's the next.
Your own category.
You're on 10.
Yeah, you're on 10. We're on 8 right now. Number 9 was business arising from previous board meeting. Just one update on that. The 2026 meeting dates. These dates were distributed for review in the last package. As a reminder, we may not actually hold a meeting on all 12 dates. I can guarantee we won't. We haven't yet. But we'd like you to secure those in your calendar. And as we did this year, we'll secure the slot from 9 till noon, just to mark that
I'll
off.
send those out today.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the meeting dates for 2026.
Can I just say one thing before that? May 21st is a council meeting and I can't be here.
Okay.
And I know that I'm sort of key on all of this. So I can't be here on the, oh no, wait a minute, hold on here. Well, that was my mistake, sorry, I can be here.
All right.
Awesome.
Janice,
I wanna be
you
here.
need to prioritize who comes first.
Well,
It's just a paycheck.
yeah, no, sorry, okay, my mistake.
So motion to approve the meeting dates. Shane moves. Wes seconds. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you. Now we're there, Patrick. New business. New business arising. Patrick.
I want to thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to talk here, and I want to welcome Councillor Lapierre from Taché. I wrote this all down here because I want to make sure I leave here not, thinking I should have said this, but. So the concept of a regional plan is for development, not only to WMR, but to the province. Minister Simard has been very approachable and committed, as is the Premier, Wab Kinew. I have the highest respect for our government. I've reached out to majority of the board. The idea of a regional model is not unique. It's been 30 years in the making. This board, who I have the highest respect for, also Chair, WMR staff, especially for Jennifer. Everybody's committed to the plan. Is my feeling there, as well as the other ones who had left. I can't talk on behalf of them. I tried to reach out to as many as I could. So we continue to work well together in a respectful, civil manner. The process is both exhaustive and aggressive as we proceed on a very tight schedule. The concern is the date of the opting out, which is an election issue, which is the 26th of October, 26. This has been expressed at the board meetings for some time now. I feel compelled to do so again based on the following points that I felt that had to be mentioned. Bill 37, and I think Jim had basically touched upon most of this, so I apologize for just going through it again there. But Bill 37 is still in the process of is going to be reviewed and amendments and so on like that. The Braid report, which what we heard, is that what it was called, I believe. It's very well done. I really like that report, as well as the province's land use plan as well. The results of the survey, it's kind of impressive. 1,100 people had responded there. It'd be nice to know if what the breakdown is for other RMs there, but it's nice to see that it's quite high. That has to be worked on. So this summer, the board, as well as all others who may wish to campaign, are going to be in a heated campaign for the summer. So the schedule before us, this schedule right here, I won't go through it there, but that's a pretty tight schedule. And again, as Jim had mentioned there, in an ideal world, keeping this there, I don't think that's realistic, and we have to have a little bit more wiggle room around that. The public hearings with the new plan, it's very tight again. I have to show about the August 8th public hearing, which was, you know, what it was. It's not something that everybody wants to see at any time. So can we as a board with more of a tighter schedule, assuming everything works out well, is it realistic? The opting out election date, as I stated before, is a rigid date. This in effect will be an added stressor in the timing, given that it's an election year and we're all going to be campaigning, and it's going to be a very, very busy time. So I am for the regional plan and I support it. It is not a want, it's an imperative, I believe. So need time to allow for the process to proceed unencumbered. Could it influence the outcome there? You know, I think that's a drastic comment on my part there, but I think it has to be explored there, given the time restraints and given everything. Our schedules are extremely tight there. So my comment is discuss the possibility of an opt-out date based on the pending election. Is it wise to have this on an election year? I just think it's just another stressor that I think we have some control over through the government, of course. So legislation would have to be changed, but I'd like to throw it out for discussions. Some of the options that I thought here, it's not as easy as writing it on a piece of paper. There's lots of legislation, or two parts of the legislations that have to be amended. Should we look at option opting out and submission? Delay for opting out submissions for new councils. It's going to be a heck of a learning curve for a new council coming in there, depending on the possibility of the board changing here, and that's probably likely the case in some form or another. A portion of that, it'd be like drinking from a fire hose, I guess, is probably the good description for that. I got two options here that I thought. In talking with other mayors, reeves, and councillors on the board, there is a January 1st submission date and the election or the opting out date be one and the same. That's option one. Option two is looking at the following dates as April of 2027 as an opt out and September of 2027 as a submission date. This gives a lot of time for a new council to look at the complexity of the plan, and we were working really well. The plan, I think, is going exceptionally well, but again, it's tied to these things. In a perfect world, this will happen, and we all know local governance is at whatever level is not always ideal. You look at as a relative timeline, but we can't be holding hard and fast to that. I think we're holding hard and fast to it now. So I'm not doing a resolution here. It's just something that we should discuss, and then we can, depending on what the chair's options there, we have to explore that. I thank you very much for your time.
Great. Oh, thank you. I know there'll be questions and comments, but Shane, you have to leave in 10 minutes, you said, and I know you had some feelings on this, so I'll let you go first.
I'm torn on this one. My concern is it still becomes an election issue just because we push it back 6 months. But I understand we're not feeling the pain as much as our friends from Springfield there. But I'm open to having that chat with the province and see if that's an option as well.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll open up the floor. Anyone comment on those two items? Myra?
Summer 2026 public hearings. My question is where? As in not Neverville, please.
No, it would not be. We would have to discuss that obviously with the government, but
I just, again,
I can
election, I don't need that.
No. I'll simplify it by saying the previous format would not be acceptable to me, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. So just please bear in mind, like we had talked one time about it being independent. They were thinking of bringing everyone to the ledge. I'm not saying that's ideal either, but a third, I don't know if it's possible to have a third party, because you're either inside the Winnipeg, you're in the WMR somewhere, but,
That would be a discussion with the minister and his staff as to what would be acceptable. But I would just, again, for everyone, the previous format is not acceptable to me. I don't know what the rest of the board, but to me it is
I
not.
think it'd only be fair then if the minister was actually the one at that meeting and was the face of that meeting. Don't make us be the face.
And to give full credit to the current minister and his interest,
Yes.
I'd be willing to bet he would be there.
I think it's very real.
Yeah. No, I'm a fan of what he's done thus far.
But I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Jim and then Brad, and then Janice.
Well, can I?
Yeah.
I mean, I support Patrick's position on this myself. I mean, the date, I think, is the date to have this plan to the minister could be challenging, given that a lot of the milestone events aren't in the control of WMR. They're in control of the government itself.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't know how we can be expected to commit, this board to commit to those dates if we don't know, we don't have control over what's gonna, when the legislation will happen, when the regulations will be put out and anything, those kinds of things. So I think it should be more event driven than date driven. I also have a concern about having the opt-out date the same date as our upcoming elections for two reasons. One is I think that it's going to force it to become an election issue, which it may or may not be, but the other is the hand of some municipalities to just decide, well, as much as we strongly support being part of the capital region, it's not something we want to take on right now. The other reason I would like to push it, I would suggest we'd like to ask the government to push it into the 2027 year or after the election, is because I think it's a decision that the newly elected council should make. I mean, I know some municipalities have this in bylaws and some don't. We don't actually, but I mean, I always think, I've been on council 26 years, and I always think that it's important for the council to not make major decisions sort of 6 months before the end of the term, because I don't think it's a good idea for us to encumber our decisions onto the newly elected council. So we generally back off for the last, even sometimes within a year, like, major capital expenditures and that kind of stuff, just because I think it's important for the new council that's going to have 4 years to run. So for those reasons, I would ask that we have this committee, I guess, put some kind of resolution together to ask the minister, Samard, I guess it is.
Yes.
Sorry, I've got so many ministers. That these dates be adjusted to reflect some of the harsh realities that some of our that are as municipal elected officials we will face.
Yep.
And I think the summer is a bad. It's not a great time to have public hearings, anyways. But
Manitoba.
Not in Manitoba, not unless you have it in Kenora. But I mean,
We only have
Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, that's my comment.
Thanks, Jim. Brad.
I have, I guess, depending, I have a request to go in camera. I don't know if that's possible or not.
Someone's going to have to help me with the procedural.
Okay, so it's a time that we go into camera, and you need to move her in a secondary.
I'll move it.
Krista moves. Jim seconds.
And then we need a minute to let
To
Jonas.
go in camera, and then we also need a minute to close off the online. So if we can just keep everyone there.
We have to have all in favor too.
Oh, sorry, we have.
sidebar while we're waiting.
No, you're not.
You're hot.
Be on.
Oh,
We're good.
Okay, we're good. Thank you for, I think we have
point of order.
five viewers. Thank you for your patience. And back in, Brad?
Yeah, and thank you, board. It was a technical, I mean, I appreciate the board listening to me because it was a technical matter related to an in-camera session we had at our municipal level, so I wasn't able to share. But I want to speak to the issue related to the timelines and all that. And again, I believe that there's been lots of good conversation about some of the real issues that are important to the capital region and the province. And I heard energy and I heard water. I mean, in McDonald, water is a probably the single biggest issue we have. We have the same source of water as the Armacarche does in the Assiniboine River. That to us, that's priority one. And if there's work that's being done by this board in conjunction with the province in partnership, those are the kinds of efforts and things that we are very interested in and look forward to happening. The terms of the plan itself, the timeline, and all of that, the encumbrances it's putting on current municipal councils and future ones, I think is unwarranted and needs to be revisited and is quite frankly unworkable. So those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Other comments?
Wes was it?
Oh, sorry, Wes.
My council, we've had numerous discussions about this. And they asked when the other plan was pretty much decided that it wasn't moving forward. And there was the opt-out provision given. They said, well, why doesn't everybody opt out? You carry forth with the plan. And if you want back in, you opt back in. That way you're rebuilding, you're starting from ground one. And people that want to be a part of it, they opt back in then because of what's been presented in front of them. This is, and it kind of makes sense because right now we're rebuilding, but we're still got that stigma following us. And that's the hard part for everybody and the public to get their head wrapped around. So that was just my counsel, what their discussions were.
Yeah. And there's certainly pros and cons to that thought. My retort would be, yeah, I mean, because let's face it, the capital planning region, this group, is charged for creating a plan for the capital region, the entire capital region. Whether you're at this table or not, the plan is going to encompass where you are, because it's the capital region. However, in my opinion, it's better to be at the table, giving your input on the formation of the plan, rather than just receiving it in its completed form when all's said and done.
And then you have your voice.
You know, as the old saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. Things like infrastructure, housing.
Yeah, but you are right, Michael, and that's what has kept us there, that you don't have any input if you're on the outside of the window looking in.
Got it.
Yeah, and we saw the report. I mean, we're asked to participate in infrastructure. We've had conversations with Infrastructure Canada, housing, talked about the rail relocation. Jennifer mentioned that today. So other funds, including provincial dollars and allocations, will be decided by, I mean, those at the table, staff, our partners, that's who's going to be. I think we're far better off being at the table, because those decisions are going to be made for the capital region. The province is going to make those decisions of a regional plan, and we are richer for having all of your input into that. Krista.
Okay, I think we really need that if we do not delay this opt-out, making it an election issue, the quality of councils that the Manitoba government is going to inherit is not going to be cool. We already know that they're out educating the public how to become councillors. They want to shut municipalities down. So that is number one. Number two, transparency. We have asked so bad and we're getting it. We have been transparent all of 2025. It's not 100%, but we're already 98% better of what we were in 2024. So I would just like to ask, so you made it an election issue. Now I'm gone. Now she's the new Reeve of Cartier. With all the experience she has at the municipal table here, how do the leftovers portray how important it is to work as regional? Like you're putting a lot of onus on the new councils. And you know what? They're going to be scared of it and they're going to opt out. We need a regional plan, end and simple.
Absolutely.
We have to go forward. I'm not scared to talk to a senior that doesn't have internet. Say, you know what? Come to council, come and have a cup of coffee, and I will tell you why I believe that the municipal, like the WMR is important. We need to have those local conversations. We need to have them, but making it an election issue is a shot in the face. It's not cool. And if there's some councils that may fold and may bring their keys to the province, this is the reality of making this an election issue. You're losing good government. That's just a forewarn.
Debbie has her hand up too.
And so did
I
Janice.
think Janice was first and then Debbie.
So I really support what you're saying, Pat, about the dates. Also, all your points related to the timeline. Like we just see the timelines of turnaround sometimes within the province of getting information back or from the just regular, not legislated, but just ran and legislated. I don't think these timelines are even feasible. And the whole summer consultation thing is in my opinion, is a recipe for disaster. And so I think the dates need to change. I don't know in relation to the provincial election, if it will be early, if it will be on the date they say it is. So that's another something that we need to consider, because that's all of a sudden
Added to the mix.
Yes.
a real dynamic that focus
catch.
will be on, right?
2027?
2027,
Yeah.
right? So if the date changes here, which I don't even think we could make these dates, but if that changes, I haven't even thought about the implications, but
Yeah.
there's the provincial election,
Yeah,
right?
that's a big one.
So,
It's a game changer.
yeah.
And Debbie.
No, Debbie's next. Okay, Debbie?
You're muted, Deb.
We can't hear you, Deb.
Okay, now I've got it. It did tell me that I couldn't unmute myself, that you were going to do it. So in any event, I guess I just want to echo everybody else's comments about them. We've talked about it around our table, and basically the dates just don't coincide with anything for us. You're heading into an election. I know that there's going to be many new faces around the council tables. And if you're putting somebody in there that has no municipal experience and hasn't taken the time to find out what's going on, it's going to be a disaster. So I guess I would support trying to go after the province to change those dates or do something to make it so that it's not right after the election. So that's all I have.
Good point. Myron?
I guess where I was going with my comment about the minister, just to add to this, is right now, this is on mayors and reeves and councils. I don't know if this would even be possible, but when I talk about the public hearings, if Minister Simard would be able to be bold enough to say that this regional plan is happening, whether it is the mayor you have today or the mayor you have tomorrow, the regional plan is happening. That way it kind of deflects off of mayors that we can, and our councils, and saying, you know what, like whether you vote for me or you don't vote for me, your council, whatever you elect, will be dealing with this.
And it reflects what you said, Michael, about being at the table.
And if they put a little bit of tooth in it, that we need these people at the table so that like, we're not disbanding if everyone opts out or some kind of messaging like that, like this is happening.
Yeah.
If Minister Simard would be willing to take that bullet for us, I don't know, but
The statement that I read that I had written up outside of the menu comment is one that actually I wanted to give to Minister Simard and ask him to make it his statement.
Yes,
Mhm.
thank you.
That's kind of what I wrote it for, was to then
Because
say,
we can
need
sit
you
here
to
and
say this.
go, it is happening. We can kind of deflect a little bit and saying, well, we may not get provincial funding if we're not part of it. It'll look more favorable on us if we do, but you can only deflect to a certain point.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think for myself and for Taché, we don't want to make decisions as an elected official out of fear. That's not what we want to do. We want to make informed, factual decisions for the betterment of where we live. And I think at the end of the day, when you look at a timeline like this and you feel those pressures, and again, new kid on the block, I get it. I didn't feel what you guys all felt in 2024. I felt my own version, but I think in the same breath, I have 667 people that signed a petition. We had 1,000 people fill out that survey. So you know what? If every one of those individuals were one of the people that filled it out, guess what? That's a huge chunk of people from my area. So I just look at that. I don't want to make decisions out of fear. We need to have the fact and we need to have the support. I think what you said is absolutely right. From the province saying, yes, this is going to happen regardless. Are you in at the table or are you out?
Just to, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
I just wanted to comment, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think a lot of the comments that I'm dealing with are residents. I mean, they're not non-residents, they're residents of our community. And one of the things I've always been able, I always feel strong about is if I run into somebody at one of our local shops or whatever, or having a coffee, I can justify why I decided to do something. I cannot justify anything yet because I don't know what it is. And I know it isn't Plan 2050 because that's gone. I think, I know Headingley's usually kind of quiet, but I think we put our issues on the table. And I do agree with Mike, by the way, I'd rather be at the table and arguing for what I think is important to us than not. But at the end of the day, I still got to be able to meet with the residents, whether it's at the hockey rink or wherever, and they say, well, why do you think we should be part of the WMR or the Capital Region? I would like to be able to say for these reasons. I don't have for these reasons yet.
Right.
There's a list of reasons why we had an issue with the previous plan. And I hope they're being addressed. I mean, we won't know until a lot of the issues actually rest with the province, not so much, well, some here, but a lot with the province. And if they are addressed, then I would be prepared to defend it. And until that day happens, which I don't think is going to happen in these timelines, by the way, but when the day happens that I can say, okay, all of the things that we had on our list of concerns are now
addressed,
dealt with, and we're better off with part of the Capital Region than without part of the Capital Region. And by the way, I'm a big supporter of doing, I mean, like Cartier Regional Water Cook, there's 7 municipalities and 2 jails and we run the same system and works great, I mean, but it's got to be something that is right for us. And I'm not in a position where I can defend the plan because I don't know what the plan is actually. And
I haven't seen the first draft.
Well, that's
no,
just
and so until that happens,
How do
so I
you make
mean,
decisions?
Everyone.
and I do think it will be an election issue. I just can't see it not being. I mean, even for our local residents, and they have opinions, they have strong opinions, and if we can't, I don't care what the minister says. At the end of the day, we're the ones held accountable. I'm the one that goes to the hockey rink and goes to the seniors luncheons and everything. If I can't defend it, then I'm not going to defend it. And so I think we got to get ourselves in a position where we actually know and appreciate what it's all about. I think if our issues get addressed, we're in great shape. If they don't get addressed, well, we tried. I think until that date comes, whatever that date is, it's going to be tough to sell it. So those are my comments.
Great, Elizabeth?
I'd like to say that I deeply respect the positions from the municipalities. What you are experiencing is unique, and I'm not experiencing that. The pressures that you have faced over the last couple of years with respect to regional planning is not something that I have faced. So just to acknowledge that and to respect the difficulty that you've gone through, the pressures that you have in your municipalities, and how you are standing up for something bigger in supporting regional planning that's so critically important, particularly given the pressure that you're receiving in your municipalities. I guess I'd just like to provide my perspective, maybe from a provincial perspective. What I do in my everyday work is try to promote economic development, try our best to advocate to the provincial or federal government to create the conditions that are conducive to private investment, to create the conditions that allow for economic growth, economic development, for people to find work, for our immigration system to be strong, to create the conditions necessary for development, and that is water, wastewater, infrastructure, ports, major projects, power. So with that in mind, I've been on the board for not quite 3 years, and all of that time has been on process. And I'm just thinking, if the next couple of years are also spent on process, it's not lost time. So please take what I'm saying in the way that I'm intending to convey it. The process is so critically important. Setting up the way that allows everyone to participate equally, to be transparent, is so critically important. But it's time that we have not spent talking about what are the projects that we can collaborate on. It's time we haven't spent on how can we demonstrate to the federal government that we have a regional plan, that we have our act together, that we are welcoming private investment into our communities, that we've collaborated sufficiently to say that, well, no, we have an infrastructure and land use plan in place. So we actually do have a plan for you. We have collaborated with Hydro, with all of the relevant departments, that infrastructure, that power, we're ready to go for the development that we want to attract into our communities, into our region, and therefore to lead to provincial economic growth and economic development. So with that in mind, again, I respect the challenges with the timelines. I can't begin to understand those challenges the way that you understand them. I just want my message to be the implications if we wait. And I think there are some serious implications. I think other provinces are eating our lunch with their ability to attract investment, and there are so many pieces to that. It's our investment climate, it's our regulatory environment. Goodness, there are so many pieces, and this is out of our control. The piece within our control, though, is whether we can move forward with a regional plan that sets the framework for infrastructure and land use development, that then is our roadmap to show the federal government, the provincial government, and private investors that, hey, Manitoba is a place that I want to invest in. And when that happens, we can attract more people to our communities. Immigration hopefully will be made easier. We'll be able to attract qualified, educated people who can contribute to our society. I know it's challenging. I do. And this is the work we do every day. And it's really tough. And I know this is tough. And this plan has been tough. But I do think we need a regional plan, and I do think time is of the essence. And so how do we pair that with the challenges that you're all going through? I don't know. I think Brad's points were very well received. The points around the table with respect to the challenges for timeline, very well received. The implications with the municipal elections and the opt-out date, very well received. I just wonder, as it relates to the players' room to move forward on this so that we can get something on the table in front of the minister, and just rather than start, continuing to talk about process, to just talk about, okay, this plan is here. How can we now do some work? Portage and Main, and this is the last thing I'll say. Portage and Main, we talked about that for a really long time, and I'm a city planner, and I'm worked in downtown revitalization before coming to my role with the chamber. So I was really passionate about Portage and Main. And we talked about this a lot. And there was a lot of misinformation with respect to Portage and Main. And the fear was that it was going to completely take over commutes, that 10 minutes would be added to your commute from the suburbs into downtown and back. And I think finally we move forward with it with courage of council. And I think what we're seeing now is that, in fact, it did not have a negative implication on commute times at all. And instead, what we have is a vibrant Portage and Main, where when tourists come, they actually know how to get to the other side of the road, which is a really wonderful thing. And I see that every day from my office, and I walk that street every day as well. So I'm not at all diminishing the challenges that you're experiencing. I mean, I was at those public hearings too. They were scary, but
I just want to comment because I think you sort of misrepresented one thing. We did talk about a solid plan, like 2050 was actual substance, it wasn't process. And there was a lot of specific issues in my case that were totally unsaleable to my community. Like it had nothing to do with a process issue. It had to do with the actual hard planning words that were in that document. And try as I would, I could not get them changed. So I mean, I think that, and I do believe that most of our communities work really hard to get business to come to our communities. I think it's important that not be lost. Like it's not, but if you can't, the reality is we're elected officials. You can't not represent the people that elected you. I mean, that's just inappropriate, whether you're federal, provincial, or municipal. So, I mean, I just have a lot of concern when you think it's a process issue. I think it's a content issue. And until we get that content right, we're not going to be able to go out and sell it to our communities and to our businesses and so forth. So that's a very important issue to me. I don't want us to think that we've got our shoelaces tied together. I wear slip-ons, by the way. Because of process. So I mean, I just want to make that comment because I've been on this committee for so many years. I don't want to think that all we talk about is process. I
don't think that was the point. I don't think it's
we have talked
all of us
content
is
many
better than
times,
one
and
of
I
us.
hope the new content comes out to address a lot of the old content issues. And if it does, then
we can go
then we can
forward.
move ahead. I agree. So.
And I think you will see that. You will see that, that we've listened to the feedback. You're going to see that the new plan that's been created will be coming out in spring, and I think you will be pleased. So that's why we're saying, stay at the table until that's released. I do, and sorry, no disrespect, on the heels of what Elizabeth was saying, during some of our consultations, we did hear of, a major business that wanted to set up shop, and when they found out there was no transit going to the municipality, they're like, yeah, we're gonna go someplace else. And then I think, well, there's permanent public transit funding dollars that we don't have access to right now because we don't have a regional plan. So, I think making that connection and in doing interviews and whatever, I think that's the point that I'm trying to make so that the public does understand that working together gives us access to dollars. It unlocks funding at the federal level. It unlocks more provincial funding dollars. But that might only happen if we are working together and we have some sort of coordinated approach to that.
Channel?
So I agree, Elizabeth, 100% that a regional plan is just so critical. And we saw that when we had the battery plant sniffing around out by RM, but was in the city, like 100%. But a good analogy with Portage and Main, Portage and Main was a huge political fiasco, right? Brought on by really poor leadership. This is hugely political, and there's just no way around it. It's hugely political, and we'll all suffer because of it, because we won't have a regional plan. But I don't see this thing going forward till after an election, until we have leadership that really quits saying, if you can opt out if you want.
Yeah.
So, and that will only change, blown up, and it comes in under a totally different guise, with the leadership saying, you can't opt out anymore, we're doing it. So.
Just to kind of bring and I see the hand there, Brad, but I want to do, because there's two issues here. I just want to clarify, I think everybody knows, because they both have different processes. The opt-out date issue is part of the act. And as part of the act, we'll then have to go forward, and if changes are made, they would be made in the spring session of the provincial government sitting. And as I said, I think it's March 4th to June 1st is when they're sitting, so it would be sometime in then that it would be considered. Saying that, we know the province is looking at, the stuff from Braid and other things, so it is going forward. There is going to be discussion on this topic in the spring. So one, I would say that if we have suggested dates we get those, I know I'm pressuring, but will be done today to get that in the minister's hands, that we're suggesting this change because you have to put it in the information going forward in the act. The submission date is a regulation. And as a regulation, not to oversimplify it, it can be changed every Wednesday morning when the caucus meets, the cabinet. Therefore, that can come at any time. Not to say that, well, I will say, we don't have a concrete date today. I don't think we can have a concrete date today, so we want that changed. However, I do think we could go forward and say, the board has had discussion. The board is concerned about that date. The board is concerned about timelines. There is a very good chance, given the way things have progressed locally, provincially, everything else, that is not a realistic date. We're giving you that heads up now for the process, and at such time that we've seen the plan, the first draft, we've seen what may or may not occur, summer, fall, or whatever, when the hearings are, that we will be asking for a change in that submission date, which you can do at your own table. Now, back to my first point on the opt-out. All of you have been a first-timer at some time. Therefore, I'm asking you, how long would it take if you got elected the end of October and all the stuff that you have to have that is absolute number one priority to become the new mayor, reeve, council member, whatever it may be, that's coming at you first? At what point would you be fully educated enough, having come to a number of board meetings and having heard anything, that you're ready then to discuss at your council whether to opt in, opt out, whatever it may be? And I know, the topics came out like April, etc. I can't imagine you being ready by April. That's just me. That's a short timeline. I mean, you're in October, you talk to your CAO in November, things are semi-closed in December, you're back early to mid-January, and you're ready by April? I don't think you can be ready by then, but that's just me.
For those of us that have been around a while, we have these councillors and mayors that come on with an agenda, minimum 1 year.
Yeah, that's.
I think so too.
See, I was thinking off the right. I was thinking off.
I'm going to get this done, and then you realize you go to your first planning session. It's like I had no idea.
And Janice makes a great point about the provincial election. The date I had in mind for possible opt-out was December 31st, 2027. That may be unfair to the province, but that's their problem.
Well, if I can just.
So that's like a year. Yeah.
Is it my turn or?
Sorry, well, Brad had his hand up first.
Let Brad go, yeah, sorry.
Brad, your hand up?
Yeah, my hand's up. I'll try to get it down. Here we go. Yes, I just want to just pipe in. I heard some, good comments, and I heard, the comments that from a non-elected official like Elizabeth that kind of resonate with me too. And then I try to figure those out from my perspective, how we can make it all work and all that. And again, I'm probably rehashing what I said earlier, but it's, all of us that are still sitting around here find value in something that would be in some form of a regional plan. Like me in particular, I will say that my thoughts are that it really concentrates on infrastructure at this point in time, and land use can be secondary to that. I don't think land use should be the driver of this plan. And all of the timelines and everything, we've had good discussion about it. I think we have a full understanding of that. I think it was Myron that had said it earlier. The one I just want to reiterate, the one thing that I'm really disappointed in a bit in the process, and maybe it's just me missing something, is the provincial leadership on this from a variety of ministers that we've had, because ultimately they're the ones that are providing these options for opt-in, opt-out, or mandating a regional plan. They should take leadership of it and be a true partner with us in the development of a plan and take it to the public together and And that's how I believe there'd be way more success other than us trying to push it up to them and them, I guess, reading the tea leaves and seeing what's happened.
Good point, and that's why I was saying, I was asking you what a reasonable opt-in out date would be. We would then send that to the minister and say, the board has said, this is the date.
Mike, if I could say, I think a reasonable opt-in date would be for the province to opt in right now.
Touche.
True.
Touche.
Well, at the risk of sounding like I'm in church, amen. But Chair and Jennifer, you know that I share Elizabeth's spirit because one of the big reasons I'm here is because I'm looking forward to the projects and getting past the process.
Yes.
Process is important and it needs to be the framework for what we do. But, you know, we've even gone to these subcommittees on different things because I'm just anxious to get thrown into the harness of what can we do. But with Brad's point, to answer a little bit what Elizabeth is asking, if we want this to move forward, we need greater provincial buy-in. I cannot stress that
100%.
enough. I cannot stress that enough. We need ministers to stand up and say, this is happening,
100%.
that what we, you know, I'm a messaging guy. I mean, I could message this. This is kind of public, so it's going to sound wordsmithish, but I mean, they could say that we have never had as greater an opportunity as the city of Winnipeg working together with rural municipalities in our time to do things for the betterment of our province and our region. You know, and based on that, we see exciting projects ahead for this group to do. And we're looking forward to supporting those projects. I don't have to list them. We're looking forward to supporting those projects going ahead by members of, you know, the WMR. And we're looking to advance those projects. So that way, I mean, some municipalities might be calling, well, what about our projects? But if they're in their verbiage, if they're saying of how they're planning to support the WMR in the projects going forward, and you know, how this was this legislation, how they listened to us, but own it, own it.
Yeah, all cooperative projects within the entire capital region.
We're looking forward to supporting funding for projects within, you know.
Somebody get that written down?
That's the ticket.
Yeah.
I'll ask the minister to say that too.
All we're hearing is you can opt out. That's all we're hearing is you can opt out. We're not hearing any leadership
Positive.
speak
Not a positive
to the
message.
importance of a regional plan and that we're, you know, being eaten alive by others.
Yeah.
Like, we're not hearing that. So we can do all we want, but if we don't have that from the upper echelon.
Yeah. Carla.
Thank you. I don't have a true opinion on a date. However, I think the sooner the better. I find it really disappointing that we're 6 years into a plan that still can't be adopted and that our province is spending money out there globally to attract industry come to Manitoba, but we don't have infrastructure for that industry. So instead of spending the money on plans like the WMR to give us, you know, more money to progress this quicker or bring somebody to the table to help us progress it quicker, we're spending money out there saying, come to Manitoba, build in Manitoba, but we actually can't accept them. So I think that
Sorry, you can't have.
we need to have some,
No, go ahead.
okay, I think that we need to have someone from the province at our table. I think we need to encourage them to give us a representative who comes to all of our board meetings, who collaborates with us and takes that information back.
Okay. Going back, just because I know time is precious for everyone, and I see some people amalgamating their notes. Give me a date for the opt-in, opt-out, whatever you want to call it, a drop-dead date, and just discuss that. Patrick, you had your hand up.
I use those dates just, and I'll succeed to Myron. He's learned individual, so he knows the system well. Yeah, when I first started to hear, it was like, you know, I used the thing about drinking from a fire hose. So I would strongly suspect, or I do agree with Myron. It's about a year. So this is just an option in talking with other board members there. It seemed to be one of those options I put out there to April there, and I think it's a pretty optimistic.
And an option is that the legislature goes from March the 4th, I believe it was said, to
June 1st.
To June 1st. And we don't know when in there the province will actually bring this Bill 37 forward. Is it March the 4th or is it June the 20th?
Yeah.
Or because we've said until we have something to review, like we were asked at our last council meeting by media, what are you guys doing? And I said, same as we've always said, until there's something to review, we're still waiting to review.
Right.
And our strategy could be that it doesn't make the spring session because there's nothing yet to review. So it only makes their fall session, which then would go into November and December, at which time there's something to review. So it's just like we can all say, there's nothing to review, so until there's something to review, we don't know what we're deciding.
Should be event driven, not date driven.
Well, I think given
Maybe
the,
a year
That's just
after
our
the
strategy. You don't have to do it. I'm just throwing one out.
given that we're piled in with the discussion on municipal board, I think that will be an active discussion this spring.
Yeah.
It's just a guess.
But I mean, at the same time, the way the legislature works, all of a sudden you get that filibuster in June, and then there's like 3 or 4 bills that have to go to the fall session because they don't have time to meet the deadline. Like they're there till midnight, the bell rings and it's over.
True, yeah.
This could be one of them.
So again, hate to harp, but people don't give me a date.
And I'm gonna echo Jim's sentiments. Until we have a draft in our hand, how do we know if we wanna opt out or not? That, to me, is when I can read and say, yep, nope, yep. That is when I will say, we're out, or we're in, or we're staying.
But when we see that, you will say, all right, let's go back to the drawing board on chapters 4, 6, and 8. That doesn't necessarily change the opt-out date if it's down the road quite a bit. And even if it's a new municipal government in charge, then that would push it a bit. What you're telling me is, if I'm the provincial government, you're telling me October 26th is unacceptable.
Yep.
So my question is, what is acceptable?
Well, until we have a draft that we are going to present to the province, that we want them to oversee and approve, how do you do anything prior to that, knowing that there might be a sticking point in there that everybody else agrees to, but you don't? And then as an individual municipality, we say, we can't live with that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think Myron had said, and I had said, push it down the road a year.
Well, and even when we get that first draft, I dare say, as the WMR, we will probably want to have a minister with the meeting and going, okay, you got 7 of 10.
Yeah.
But these other 3, we want to have a conversation.
Yeah, are they sticking points or?
Yeah, like, and then each member of the board will then have to decide if whatever the province decides on those points that maybe were contentious based on what was submitted by each of our municipalities to the WMR board. But date, Mike, I mean, if the plan gets released on if the legislation gets discussed on March the 4th, we've agreed, I believe what I'm hearing is that public hearings in the summer just seem like we're sliding something through. So that unless we can have May-ish, which I know Natalie's shaking her head and I agree, that ain't gonna happen. So that means that public hearings are delayed till the fall because they're not ready for the spring. We're not doing them in the summer. So we're only doing public hearings in the fall. Then likely the regional plan provided to minister isn't till winter.
Yeah, and that's okay. Again, the regional plan dates can be changed on a Wednesday morning. I'm not concerned with that right now. They can be moved any Wednesday morning, for lack of a better word. I know I'm oversimplifying it. But the opt-in, opt-out dates have to be done, we're hoping sometime between March and June, which means we need to get on the docket probably, I don't know, February 1? For that to happen? I don't know.
So the only date on here that I know is concrete is election. So municipal election, that's our only, the rest of this is hypothetical and variable.
Yeah.
So if we're saying it takes a year after that election to have maybe an understanding, maybe a grasp, let's not even say understanding, a grasp of what this means for any new elected official that's in that role, I think you need at least that year as a luxury. It's what you're in budget season then as a new elected official, you're doing like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, you're swamped.
You're swamped.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, then it'll be their election.
Yeah.
And then it's, and that's exactly, that's
Well,
probably
And then
why they
that's
don't want
just a
it.
big disaster for the whole.
No, but then,
You know,
no, but we could say that date and then the province could say, because it's our election, that doesn't work for us. Okay, push it back another couple months.
But then it just starts the discussion.
It starts the
That- I think
discussion, yeah.
That's the point now, is that you
We
just
have
have
to
to
give
have
them
a
something
date.
to react to.
So
You have
then,
to have a date and also a reason why you're putting that date
Yep.
forward. And then the ball is now in their court. Otherwise, we'll just keep continuing to have these discussions and not get it in front of them in time for them to make a change.
as far as getting things done, are we offside legislatively if we want to start working on projects, but we can't because we have the framework? Is that like, we want to see stuff getting done. I think most of us want to see, get to the tangible.
Absolutely.
Can we even do that without this being authenticated?
I think they're mutually
Think so.
exclusive myself. I mean, I don't,
I think we can.
I don't, if we all decided that we wanted to do something, we can.
Because I think that makes a big difference on the
I-
date.
They have the power.
You know,
It makes a big difference if it's about a date for this, but we can still start working on tangible things to get things done. That's a different discussion than if we have to wait on tangible until this is done.
We need a positive going forward
We
and
can certainly-
let
Show the
this
power
take
of
its
the-
time.
I
Show
mean,
the
if we
power of-
collectively decided,
Exactly.
or a group of us decided,
Yeah.
because it may not be everyone at the same time, but decided we wanted to
It
go
hasn't
after
stopped
something.
Jennifer from talking to Infrastructure
No,
Canada.
not at all. I mean,
No.
in fact, unfortunately, we have been tied up by
So
this
there's just a
plan.
few things that I just want to quickly say. So if we lose one more person who has to go, then we lose quorum and we can't make any decisions
Okay.
on anything. But to Myron's point, I absolutely understand what he's saying
to go.
there as well. I think right now our focus is on the plan because that is
What's
what
the-
has been mandated to us. And so that's where I'm taking the staff to have discussions about what we can do. I would absolutely entertain those things. It's just about whether or not we have the capacity to start new projects, but it's definitely something that we can start exploring, is starting to move forward together so that we're not just talking about.
And that's helpful, so thank you.
Yeah, if somebody phones and says, I've got $100 million for infrastructure project for the region, we're not gonna respond, I'm kind of busy writing this plan.
The premier himself we talked about data centers. We were at the premier's breakfast and we talked about data centers, and that's gonna be within 5 years. If one is going to come, and then they would need infrastructure if they're gonna come, so.
We're
Yes,
talking,
it takes time.
Just should, so I mean,
I gotta talk about that, Myron, after.
Jennifer's point, I mean, should we just should we make that resolution before we lose quorum that we
Yes.
want?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Are you prepared to make it?
I would make a resolution that we.
If I can make that.
Oh, sorry,
I'd
go ahead.
appreciate
I
it.
would be happy to second
I'd
it.
make the resolution if I need a mover. or
What's
a
the
seconder.
resolution?
Make a resolution.
For the date, did we figure out a date?
Out date, yeah.
Yeah, but what did we come up with, a year?
That's what he's open to. What are
A
you
year
suggesting?
past one.
I'd say a
October of
year.
27?
Year past the October 27th, yeah, so October 27th
Yeah.
would be.
October of 27?
Make it November 1.
Yep.
Sure.
November 1, 2027?
Does it help if the city seconds it, or
Sure.
would add
Yeah.
more?
We would appreciate,
Yeah, I'd love to.
Support, yeah.
Who? oh,
Janice.
motion
Janice.
was
Patrick and then
Patrick
Janice.
and Janice, seconded by Janice.
Patrick raised it as a concern.
Feeling pretty powerful here too.
Super. All those in favor?
I like the power.
Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Now we can go on the other discussion. I just wanted to get that, how we
Dealt with.
had that. And yeah, and I'm in complete agreement. In defense, the staff was tasked with here the goal dates to meet the submission date to the minister. We have to do this by this date. And that's all the staff can work with, is because that's the rule the province set out. Thou shalt have it in my hands by this date in 2026. Now, we're already asking for one goalpost to move now, not now, but we will, in all likelihood, ask for the other goalpost to move. That's fine. But that one has a looser timeline because, as I think all of you have said, I don't know what the submission timeline, I may look at this plan in
Reasoning.
March or whatever date the first draft comes out and go, this is perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All in favor, all opposed, unanimous. Wonderful.
Not gonna happen.
And the timeline advances. No, but, and then, or
Optimistic.
maybe, you know, as I said before, love this, hate this. Okay, let's discuss it. And then the submission date may have to move. Or as Janice's point, I think was, oh God, please don't do any more of these public hearings in the summer, because the summer's a bad time.
Yeah.
This is bad optics.
Which change, yeah, or the optic, and that's fine. We can do that. So that one, I don't need a hard and fast, because you can't give me a hard and fast on submission date.
No.
But we have the opt-in, opt-out one, and I will go forward with that in a letter to the minister immediately.
Yeah. Could I add another slightly, Myron's point, I guess, was earlier, but I mean, is it possible that we could ask the government to engage us if major projects or major developers or anyone comes to the capital region looking for work? I mean, looking to establish, I mean, like, I hate to lose all this. I mean, we've had a number of big companies come to us, for example, that wanted to set up. Now, there's a bit of a quiet period right now because of the uncertainty, but we had a battery company that wanted to set up shop and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't not, by the way, set up because of the capital region plan. They didn't, they paused because of the uncertainty about getting their product over the border. But I mean, one thing, and I know you're busy. I mean, I know you're organized, like, and I'm not trying to throw something at you, but I just think, you know, just to the point, I mean, it'd be nice if we could open the door to say, if the province has something that they'd like the capital region to, or could, you know, we could be involved in, we should be at the table, you know, and we should ask them. And I mean, we would ask them to fund any resources we need to support it. But I mean, I'm concerned that all we're being looked at is a land use plan. And by the way, if I had it my way, I'd take the whole land use out of it. I think that's the least of our concerns. The real issue is, how do we get business to move to?
Well, yeah, and we established our priorities at that fall meeting. We said, here's our A's, here's our B's, here's our C's.
Yes, we did.
So do we want to, couldn't we open that door for, you know, have a resolution, or do we still have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Do we still have, we have a resolution that we have to, Mike, you or something would ask the province to engage us if there's work to be done? Because I think the municipalities around, and the city around the table, we're here. I mean, we're, you know, if some large organization wants to do business in the capital region, we're here, you know, but I don't know if we've ever had the open sign up, actually, to be honest. And I don't think we've been engaged the way we should be, if it is there.
We will declare ourselves
And
open
Carla
for
needs
business.
to leave, so.
Okay, could we?
Oh, okay.
we'll lose more.
So we need, if that's a motion or just a direction, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, or direction, I guess.
It'd be a direction that we
Yeah.
do that.
Because that'd be nice. I mean,
Okay.
Good idea there, Jim and Myron, I like that.
Yeah, I have to go to next meeting and a formal adjournment because we're about to lose quorum.
Okay, sure.
And then, but I'll still take the direction after we adjourn that.
Could you just recap, we're asking to have a provincial representative here. That's one of the things we're doing.
Yeah, we capture that in the minutes, that we asked that, and we capture in the minutes the
change.
Direction for engaging the province. We'll write the word.
Yeah, I will.
Write the minutes.
We may need to go to the minister. What I found in meetings at the ministerial level is that the staffers have a job to do, but that the minister respects elected officials.
Yes.
And takes a lot more direction from elected officials more directly than if Stephen Walker or David Neufeld from Minister Smart's office is going back.
Agreed.
Does it need to be a minister? It can be a deputy minister because they get advised by the DAs or deputy DMs.
So it won't be the minister at all of our meetings. We
No.
just ask for a provincial
Yeah,
representative.
but we may need to go as a delegation to see the ministers. Could happen.
Okay, next meeting date is January 22nd of next year. And
Jennifer regrets out of country.
we have, need a mover and a seconder for adjournment. Janice? Tash?
Yeah.
All those in favor, opposed, any carried? Thank you for everybody. I believe we have 5 people online today watching our meeting, so.